When I was younger, I had a lot of trouble falling asleep. Like, a lot of trouble falling asleep, like it was pathological. And it was something that terrified me at night to have to go to bed. It became a trial just to even think about it, and so I would do everything in my power not to go to sleep. This is something that as a parent right now I understand all too well. My parents didn't understand it all too well, and their solution was just to send me upstairs, go to bed, you'll fall asleep, it'll be fine. Things like you worry too much or stop thinking so much were offered. And generally the idea was just get out of our hair because we're tired of being parents right now, which I do understand as a parent now as well. But I also understand that it's important to take care of your children when they need to be taken care of, to comfort them when they need comfort, and this wasn't something my parents were all that interested in. And so I would trudge upstairs, and then I would begin my sort of treasure trove of tricks to, entertain myself before I eventually sleep overcame me. And this included sort of sneaking out of my room and peeking around the wall to see the adults who were in the den watching television, and I could see the television in reverse, in reflection in the den window, and I would watch until somebody caught me and yelled, "Get back in your room!" And that was okay, though, because my whole purpose was to be detected. Yeah, it wasn't great to be caught and yelled at, but I wanted them to know. I realize this now. I wanted them to know that I was still awake and I needed help falling asleep. And so this was one way to kind of do it without asking for help, because asking for help was very dangerous because you could be rejected, which would be tremendously devastating. So after that, I would try to do all kinds of things to entertain myself, to stay okay, to feel okay, to feel safe until sleep eventually overcame me. I invented radio stations and rock stars and football teams and football players and football games and leagues, and I would broadcast these games. Sometimes the broadcasting became too loud, and I would hear, "Shut up, go to sleep," from downstairs. "It's already 100 o'clock. How late is 100 o'clock? I never got there. So when that didn't work, again, it was still working because the people knew that I was awake. They didn't care, but they knew that I was awake. And then I would get out of bed and I would play football in my room, and people would, of course, hear me. And I knew that they knew that I was up. My father recently said to me, like, "You didn't know that we knew that you were up." I did. It was, again, the same technique. Could I let them know that I was having trouble falling asleep and this was terrifying without actually telling them? The real moment of truth would come when my father would come upstairs after shutting up the house for the night, and I would hear his footsteps on the stairs, and this was very telltale. And he would do his machinations upstairs in the bed where all the bedrooms were on the top floor. And the moment that hallway light went off, that was a signal that the night had really begun, and the depths of it, the hell depths of it, were just beginning. The light was a really thick light. The house built in the 1920s has really thick, panels for lights, I guess, and so this switch was really thick, and you could hear it. It was like click, and it reverberated throughout the entire house and in my soul. And when he finally clicked it, everything went deadly dark and deadly silent, and I was truly, truly all alone. And that's when the true hell of trying to go to sleep really set in, because I knew that I was alone and in the dark and in the silence, and no one was coming if I asked for help. 3 weeks ago, I went back home to the same childhood home that I just described, because my father, who's now 82, still pretty spry, had major surgery to remove a cancerous node from his leg. He's been living in that house alone for the last 12 years since the death of my mother, and he gets around, he's fine, he's great, but this surgery was pretty debilitating, and he needed a lot of help around the house. Just getting up and down the stairs was difficult for him. He would exhaust himself just trying to get through the day. Most of the day he spent when I was there sitting in a chair reading. As I said, just getting up and down the stairs was difficult. Getting dressed was difficult. My sister and I, who came in from Chicago, helped him with all of these things. She left to go back to Chicago, and so all of those duties fell to me for the last few days, which included helping him get in bed at night, which also included draining the tubes which were hanging from his groin. That was fun. This is how I was helping him. And so I would, at night, bring him into his room, undress him, squeeze out the tubes of the pinkish orange fluid and put it in measure buckets, and then write that down on a piece of paper. And then I would help him put his underwear back on and help him put his pants back on. And then I would put his pillow in the right place, and I would pull back the blanket, and I would help him get into the bed. and I would gingerly lift his leg because he was in a lot of pain, and I would tuck him under the blankets, and I would make sure that his leg was lifted, and I would make sure that he had Tylenol, and that he had a glass of water, and that if he needed anything, a phone was right there nearby if he needed something in the middle of the night. And the last night that I was there, I tucked the blanket up just under his chin, and I looked down, and he had these big, tired eyes, and I looked down at him, and, saying the words "I love you," as you might imagine, does not come easily to my family. But I felt it in that moment that it was right to say, and so I said, "I love you," and then I punctuated the remark with a kiss on his forehead. And then I walked out of the room, and as I did so, I said, "Get some rest. If you need anything, I'm right down the hall. Really, anything at all. I'm here to help." And then I turned off that light.